Who's thinking about their 2025 goals? Are you a goal setter? Have you given up on goal setting because New Year's resolutions? Because you're like, I'm just not going to fail those anymore. That was definitely me. But when I'm speaking about goals, I am not speaking about something that we don't have to be intensely focused on that. I'm speaking more broadly, as in when what do we want? What do we want better for our life? And would decluttering be something that helps us towards that? I think the answer is yes. And I think it's yes for three surprising reasons. And so that's why I wanted to talk about how to declutter to make room for your 2025 goals. I had a fun conversation with somebody in the chat yesterday where they are wanting to build a YouTube channel. Decluttering can help. Why? Because it takes time to build a YouTube channel. And I think that when we don't have the time, the energy, or the space, or the mental bandwidth, we need to think, what do I need to declutter? In case we're meeting for the very first time, my name is April Prag, and I am a clarity coach, and I help women create homes that take care of themselves, that takes care of itself, and homes that take care of them instead of them feeling like they have to take care of the home all the time. It's Look, there's better things to do than housework. And and when I say declutter, I think that people believe, well, I would have to become a minimalist. And I don't think that is the case. In fact, my definition of clutter is anything that is not helping you to reach your goals. And so it's not that we have to get rid of everything. We just want to get rid of the things that are not as important to us as achieving our goals. For example, I used to have several collections of things, and I decided to get rid of collections that I did not want to dust anymore just because I wanted to save that time from dusting. And I don't like to see dust. Um, I don't always see the dust, but I also don't like to do dusting. So it's like the only things that I'm keeping around are things that I am willing to keep clean in order to enjoy them. And also, I mean, if you look at my background, very, very empty. I actually have a clock that I'm thinking about hanging up. I just haven't had a chance yet. But when we're talking about decluttering, we're usually thinking about getting rid of things, and I was even using ChatGPT to talk about this, and Chat wanted to reassure you all that, yes, I think of him as a person. His name is Chad. He wanted to reassure you all that decluttering is an ongoing process and that we're never, never done with it. And I think that that is not reassuring at all. I think that that is exhausting. I think that decluttering is something that we can do intentionally in alignment with our goals, intentionally, seasonally, maybe, but intentionally. We can use decluttering as a portal to transformation. And I think it might be one of the best pathways, one of the best portals, one of the best doorways to transformation. Because when I'm talking about decluttering, I'm not talking about you starting to look around your house and seeing what can I possibly let go of, get rid of, what is trash here, what else can we get rid of? I am talking about actually taking a step back, looking at our lives and saying, how do I want to spend my days? What do I want to spend my time and energy and precious mental bandwidth on? Getting clarity on what those things are. What are the things that matter the most to you? What is your purpose? What are your priorities? What are your true desires? What are your goals for next year? Getting those clear, and then looking at our space and saying, what out of all this stuff is going to support me? What do I want to, not what do I want to get rid of, but what am I going to keep? When we declutter from the idea of what we want to keep versus what we're trying hard to let go of, it'll change the game for us because we're deciding what are our favorites, what is truly useful to me, what have I found beneficial, or what am I finding beneficial right now? What what is supporting me as I am becoming this fresher, better, more confident version of me. Sometimes that might mean letting go of a whole wardrobe. For example, this happens a lot when we go from like college to career work. We look at our excuse me. We look at our closet and realize, oh, none of this is fit for my new professional job with my new professional title. Got to get rid of all of it. And then we go and we buy stuff that we think fits the job. And then we find out that we don't really like wearing what we bought and it becomes this process. When and here's the deal, the better we understand ourselves, and this is an ever changing um, journey, the better we can choose our things. So, decluttering is an opportunity to re choose what we truly desire for our future. So, decluttering to make room for your 2025 goals and stick to the end if you can, because I am going to share that I have a free workshop coming up that you can join where you'll get very practical tips on what to do. So, one of the reasons how decluttering creates space for our big goals is because our physical clutter impacts our mental clarity. When we are surrounded by piles of things, when we are surrounded by things that remind us that things are undone, it is hard for us to get focused on what we really need to do or really desire to do. It's hard for us if you are artistic to find your inspiration if you're surrounded by things that don't support that inspiration. This is why it's so important for artists to create a space for inspiration. This is one of the reasons why I moved my office recently was because there were too many things in my visual line that were distracting me. And so I wanted to put myself in a smaller room, a quieter room, a less visually stimulating room. And also, if somebody came in the door, then their entering and exiting was not disturbing me. It's been a huge help. Also, this room that I chose has two sets of windows. So I can see nature. I can see daylight. And I had actually more window view in the other room, but the windows were a little bit drafty too. And so I was always thinking not about how beautiful nature was, but how cold I was. Physical clutter impacts our mental clarity. When you look at the space that's surrounding you, do you feel inspired or what's the feeling you feel? Do you feel like exhausted because there's this subtle sense of, oh, I need to get to that. I need to do that. I need to do that? Is there a sense of guilt because you're not pleased with it's not matching your expectations or you feel like it's not matching somebody else's expectations? If we take care of ourselves mentally, we will be able to bring better, better work, better energy, better clarity to those around us and to our activities around us. But when we are distracted by what we're looking at and by the just in case things and by the pile in the corner that says I need to go and return those items and I need to drop that off at Goodwill and oh, I need to take care of the dog, and I need to put that stuff away. That's a lot going on in our mind, a lot of mental energy and bandwidth that is not being devoted to what we truly enjoy. And we just sometimes I don't think we realize how distracting our environment is to us. So that is why I talk about decluttering as being a pathway to greater mental clarity. Sometimes people think, oh, I probably have ADHD or I just can't focus. And I think that that might be true. And also, we can create environments that support us in a better way and not make apologies for wanting it that way or needing it that way or preferring it that way. So, our physical clutter impacts our mental clarity. Here's the next one: our emotional clutter blocks our progress. This is why I talk often about decluttering from the inside out. The things that surround us, or the conversations in the past that we have not resolved, or the text from somebody that we know there's a little bit of awkwardness from, the guilt about keeping things that we don't need, unresolved emotions, all of that drains our energy. Holding on to items that remind us of a heavier time, not a joyful time, not a inspiring time, not an exciting time. Hanging on to those items can it's not just the mental side, it's the emotional side. I talked about this recently in a video about how my mother-in-law was going to gift us a family picture, and it would have cost a lot of money. It was by a photographer that was, n- not inexpensive at all. This wasn't just a snapshot. But one of my children had a meltdown and was having a hard time smiling because of so many things that had happened that day. That even though it might have looked fine to an outsider, when I looked at that picture, I just remembered how hard it was for my child to go through that. And I didn't want that picture. It wasn't a happy memory for me. It was a memory of a thousand things that went wrong. And we were just trying to get through them all with grit and grace. Oh, anyway, so and it wasn't something that, I felt like it would add to our family. So I wasn't gonna keep something that just had a negative emotion to it. Why would we? Why do we? Why do we do this? Why do we feel? And I'm asking this question, like seriously, if there's a reason that you're having a hard time overcoming this, put it in the chat below because we can talk about it. But we're also holding on to things that no longer serve us, as in belief systems or ideas that I'm not good enough to do what I would like to do. I have I'm not a clear enough speaker to have a YouTube channel. I am not an interesting enough person to attract an audience. What else? This is why we need to declutter from the inside out. What are the thoughts and beliefs that we're holding that are blocking our progress? I'm not naturally organized, therefore, I can't be organized and I can't find an organizational system that works and suits me. Or this is the way it's always got to be. It's always been, and so it's always got to be this way. Or I guess I just wasn't meant to have this. What kind of emotional clutter might be holding you back from your 2025 goals? Do you have emotional clutter about even setting 2025 goals? Like, I am not a person who achieves my goals, so therefore, I'm not going to set any goals anymore. That can change. That does not have to be. But decluttering is not about just our things, it's about our thoughts too. And in fact, that's why I say when we declutter from the inside out, we create lasting results because it's not a temporary measure that we got rid of some stuff. It's that we created a whole new way of thinking about our life. And then that way of thinking guides our actions. That way of thinking stops us from taking on too many activities, too much stuff, or other people's opinions that are not beneficial to us. And thirdly, decluttering is a way to make space, time, energy, and free up resources to pursue your goals. Back in the day, when my kids were little, young and little, they were so cute. I wanted to homeschool, but I could not wrap my mind around the idea of homeschooling two kids for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was like, there is no way I'll be able to do all that. And I wanted to give them the benefit of homeschooling um, without tying myself down. And I realized, wait, I'm not teaching a classroom and I'm not teaching two classrooms. I'm teaching two kids. So homeschooling could, number one, look a lot more like tutoring, as in half hour of personalized instruction, we can cover a couple of hours of material. So it's a huge time saver, actually. Number two, there's a lot of things that I can teach them how to teach themselves. I can just give them light instruction. But also, I wanted to set a I want to be a lifelong learner. I am a lifelong learner. And it was important for me to have time to read. And because I truly, truly enjoy reading, it's one of my favorite hobbies. And so when I was looking at my home and I'm like, this thing is a wreck. This is a mess. And on top of that, we've got all these homeschooling supplies. And because I thought that, that's what makes you a good homeschooler is when you buy a whole bunch of homeschooling supplies. And when I realized, no, it can be simple and I can let go of this and I can let go of the idea that homeschooling has to look this way and it has to have all these things and it has to have all these pictures on the wall, just like a classroom does. And it has to have desks and cubbies, just like a classroom does. Oh my goodness, you guys, there were so many things that I had purchased just so that I would feel like a homeschooler. And so I let all that go. But then when I turned to my house and I asked the question, because this is how I usually say it to my clients, what would you rather be doing than housework? And the answer for me was, I would rather be reading. I'd rather be going to the library, checking out topics and books that interest me and reading. And so it's like, how do I make more time for reading? And everything I let go of in my home, in fact, everything I chose to keep actually was, yes, because this is more important to me than reading time. This is more important to me than reading time. Like, this benefits my life in an additional way. So I let go of probably 80% of our belongings. I tell my clients sometimes a sweet spot is 40 to 80%, just depending. But when you declutter that much of your life, and again, it does not feel hard the way that I teach how to do it because we're focused on what we desire to keep, our very, very favorite things versus the things that we're trying to figure out what to let go of. You know, it's a whole psychological reason for it. But when we declutter like that, we give ourselves the gift of more time, more energy, because it takes so much less time to maintain clutter free spaces, more money, because after we let go of those things, we are way more choosy about the things that we purchase after that kind of decluttering. Um, More bandwidth, more space, We even downsized to a smaller house and saved money. There were just so many benefits. But what's crazy is this: I didn't realize at that moment that I was on the pathway to becoming a clarity coach, and a clarity coach that helps women create homes that take care of themselves, and also helping entrepreneurs create businesses that they love. I had no idea that my desire to read and my hunger for knowledge was going to lead me down the pathway that created the business that I have now. That's crazy. So not only did I save time, energy, money, resources, and emotional bandwidth, but I was setting myself up for my future business to actually make money and to teach other people how to save time, energy, money, and make money. It's fun. It's amazing. It's amazing when we redefine clutter as just anything that's not serving us, anything that's not moving us forward towards our goals. But to understand that definition, we've got to check in with ourselves and find out, what is it that I want more than doing housework? What is it that I truly like? What are the top things in my life? Even if they can't happen now, can we make some progress towards them? Just allowing yourself to dream a little bit is literally the first step towards pursuing your dreams, reaching your goals. But we're afraid to do that, aren't we? Because we're afraid that if we don't, then we'll face disappointment. And disappointment is hard to swallow sometimes. But if we can make our peace with that it's worth it to take a shot, to dream, what would I rather be doing than housework? What would I rather be spending my time, energy, resources, money on? What, and then what, to what extent am I willing to go after that? How much time do I want to create for that? And then going through a house like that. And I want to say this: if that feels overwhelming to you to pursue by yourself, I'm actually going to do a workshop, From Chaos to Calm: How to Create a Home You Love. I'm going to share the three main principles. And I'm doing this workshop tomorrow, Wednesday, December 11th. In the description is the link to it. It is a free workshop. Sign up for it and show up live and ask your questions, and I'll be glad to help you for free. I'll be glad to give you coaching on your exact situation, on your exact circumstance. And if you can't show up live, there is a replay, but it's only sent to the people who show up for the workshop. And at the end of that workshop, I'm going to share how I can help you achieve it step by step in a way that feels easy, light, and fun, and does not feel overwhelming. I'll just walk you through the exact steps that I went, or the program will. But I, I do want to say this is something I had to figure out on my own. I read so many books. One of the books that I read was Speed Cleaning, or Cleaning at the Speed of Light, or something like that. That was a game changer. It gave me back so much of my time when I actually learned how to clean my house in a fast, efficient way. This is really key if you don't like cleaning your house, but you like a clean house. And, there's two options to that, by the way. There's the option of doing it yourself or hiring a housekeeper. And I don't understand. Now, I understand if there's a money concern, and sometimes that is the case. But sometimes women just feel guilty about paying for help for themselves. I don't get this. I think we need to push back at this notion a little bit harder. So, anyway, come to the workshop if that sounds like it might be what you are looking for. I'm going to share the three principles to going from chaos to calm, creating a home you love. But I do want to say this: decluttering might be the tool that you were missing when you've tried to reach goals in the past and haven't and weren't able to succeed. Maybe it was because you forgot to make room for the actions that need to go towards those goals. And so when we say yes to a goal, we want to then identify the things that we're going to say no to. That's the clutter. All right. Any questions? Put it in the chat. Any feedback? Put that in the chat. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. Uh, and if you have any other topics that you'd like along this, put those in the chat. I would love to hear. But have you ever used decluttering to reach your goals? And have you started thinking about your 2025 goals? I can't wait to hear. All right. This has been fun, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.